Something historic is happening right now in Eastern Europe, a silent but powerful political earthquake that could change the course of global politics. For decades, Vladimir Putin ruled with an iron grip, projecting an image of unshakable strength across Russia and its neighboring allies. But now, cracks are beginning to show, and one of the biggest shockwaves is coming from a place no one expected: Belarus. Once known as Putin's most loyal partner, Belarus now appears to be turning its back on Moscow. And if this shift continues, it could mark the beginning of Putin's total collapse. Hello everyone, welcome back to FreedomCast News. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon for daily news updates. Today, we're diving deep into a story that could reshape the future of Russia's power, expose the weaknesses inside Putin's regime, and reveal how Belarus, the one country everyone thought would never rebel, is suddenly breaking away. From the outside, Putin's empire always looked polished and powerful. Russia projected dominance, a country that commanded fear, respect, and obedience. The alliance with Belarus was one of the strongest symbols of that power. For years, President Alexander Lukashenko stood shoulder to shoulder with Putin, echoing his every move and defending his every decision. The two nations were so tightly linked that many believed Belarus had lost its independence entirely. But now that illusion of unity is fading, Belarus is starting to speak a different language, one of independence, frustration, and quiet rebellion. What's changing? It starts with the exterior, the public face of the alliance. Belarus has recently shown signs of drifting away from Russia's shadow. Lukashenko, who once defended Putin in every global forum, is now using carefully chosen words to distance himself. He's been meeting with European representatives, hinting that Belarus might want to reopen dialogue with the West. Even in recent military and political meetings, Belarusian officials have avoided echoing Russia's aggressive tone. To outside observers, it's clear the once loyal ally is growing uncomfortable. But it's not just about diplomatic gestures. Something much deeper is happening inside. Within the Kremlin, sources describe an atmosphere of confusion and fear. Putin's inner circle, once united by power and loyalty, is now divided by doubt. Economic struggles, international sanctions, and a prolonged war effort have pushed Russia to its limits. Behind the scenes, even senior officials are questioning the future. For years, Putin's control depended on fear, the idea that no one could challenge him. But now that Belarus is showing cracks, others might start to follow. Inside Belarus, there's also a quiet shift taking place. Citizens who once viewed Russia as a partner are growing restless. Economic instability and rising prices have made everyday life harder. Many Belarusians are beginning to see the cost of being tied to Moscow. Young people especially want something different, a more open and independent future, free from Russia's grip. This growing sentiment is forcing Lukashenko to rethink his position. While he still relies on Russia economically, he can no longer ignore the public's discontent. Performance-wise, Putin's leadership is struggling to deliver results. The war efforts, which were supposed to showcase Russian strength, have instead exposed the weaknesses of the system. The country's military performance has been questioned globally, and morale is dropping both in the army and among civilians. The economy, once resilient under pressure, is now slowing down. Inflation, reduced exports, and isolation from Western markets have all taken their toll. For years, Putin relied on the illusion of stability and control, but now, even his strongest supporters can see that illusion fading. Belarus pulling away only makes things worse. Without Belarus, Russia loses a crucial partner, one that provided both political support and geographical advantage. Strategically, Belarus is a buffer zone between Russia and NATO. Losing that alliance could make Russia feel cornered, intensifying its sense of insecurity. For decades, Putin positioned himself as a protector of Russia's borders and pride, but now his own allies are slipping through his fingers. One of the most fascinating parts of this crisis is how it exposes the failure of Russia's safety features. The systems designed to protect the regime from collapse. In theory, Russia's political machine was built on total control. Control over the media, control over the military, and control over allies like Belarus. But every one of those safety nets is now under stress. The media can no longer hide the country's struggles, the military is exhausted, and the allies, like Belarus, are starting to look for escape routes. The very foundation that kept Putin's empire stable is now shaking. The situation becomes even more interesting when you look at what makes this moment unique. This isn't just another political disagreement between two nations. It's a shift in loyalty from the one country that was supposed to be unbreakable. Belarus has been Russia's closest partner for over 2 decades. The two countries shared military exercises, intelligence, and political strategies. For Belarus to even hint at independence is a massive symbolic blow to Putin's authority. It tells the world that even his closest friends no longer believe in his vision. Even within Russia, people are beginning to talk. For the first time in years, quiet conversations about leadership change are happening behind closed doors. Ordinary citizens, tired of economic hardship and isolation, are losing faith. The internet, despite censorship, is full of discussions about how long this can continue. The once unthinkable idea that Putin's regime could actually collapse is now being openly debated. But what is the price of maintaining control? Russia has paid dearly. Sanctions have crippled major industries, from oil exports to banking. Billions have been lost due to international isolation. Everyday Russians face rising prices, limited imports, and shrinking opportunities. Meanwhile, the cost of war and political aggression keeps climbing. Belarus stepping away could make that cost unbearable. Without Belarus, Russia's logistical routes, trade networks, and defense strategies all become more complicated. Putin's attempt to project power is draining the very resources that keep his country functioning. To understand why this matters, you have to see the bigger picture. Putin built his power on the idea that Russia was surrounded by loyal allies countries that would always side with Moscow against the West. But that image is collapsing fast. Kazakhstan, Armenia, and now Belarus are all showing signs of independence. Instead of expanding influence, Russia is watching its network shrink. This isn't just a diplomatic setback, it's a rewriting of the post-Soviet order. Belarus' move away from Russia is more than symbolic, it's strategic. For years, Lukashenko used his alliance with Putin to survive politically. Now, he's using distance from Russia to protect himself. He knows that tying Belarus too tightly to a struggling regime could drag his own country down. By reaching out to other nations, he's ensuring Belarus has a backup plan, and that backup plan might just be Belarus' path to survival and Putin's downfall. Behind the scenes, Western nations are also watching closely. The United States and European Union see this as a chance to weaken Russia's influence further. Diplomats are quietly encouraging Belarus independence, offering small incentives and open dialogue. If Belarus can successfully distance itself, it could inspire other Russian allies to do the same, and that would leave Putin more isolated than ever before. Inside Moscow, this possibility terrifies the regime. Fractured alliance system would expose Russia's vulnerability, both politically and militarily. Putin's inner circle understands that once one ally fully breaks away, others may follow. The Kremlin has built its reputation on power, and power depends on perception. The moment the world sees Russia losing its grip, its entire strategy begins to unravel. For years, Putin thrived on fear both at home and abroad, but now that fear is turning inward. The regime that once intimidated others is now scared of losing everything. The silence of his former allies speaks louder than any speech or propaganda. The man who once controlled narratives across Eastern Europe is now struggling to control his own. So, Is this the beginning of Putin's collapse? Many analysts believe it could be. The signs are everywhere: a crumbling economy, exhausted military, restless citizens, and allies drifting away. Belarus turning its back might just be the final spark that ignites a much larger fire. History has shown that empires rarely fall in one day. They collapse slowly, piece by piece, until one day the foundation gives way, and for Putin's Russia, that day might be closer than anyone expected. The irony is that the more he tries to hold on, the faster things seem to fall apart. Every move to tighten control only exposes new weaknesses. Every attempt to project strength only highlights internal decay. The world is watching, and Putin knows it. His image as an unshakable leader is fading, replaced by the reality of a man fighting against time, pressure, and history itself. And yet, amid all this chaos, Belarus stands as a symbol of something rare: a country daring to step out of Russia's shadow. Its rebellion may be quiet for now, but it carries the weight of change. If Belarus succeeds in asserting its independence, it could inspire others across the region to do the same. That would mark not just a political shift, but a historic turning point, one where the balance of power in Eastern Europe changes forever. In the end, the question isn't just whether Putin will fall, but how far the collapse will go. Will Russia face internal revolt? Will other nations cut ties completely? Or will the Kremlin find a way to hold on, even as the world moves on? One thing is certain: the story is far from over. That's all for today's in-depth report from FreedomCast News. The world is changing fast, and the events unfolding in Belarus and Russia could redefine the global order. Make sure to subscribe to FreedomCast News and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching, and remember, stay informed, stay aware, and never stop questioning the stories that shape our world.